Welcome to Zero Hit Points, everybody. It's PAX again. We're here.
PAX.
It's a different hotel. It's a different time. It's a different person. Actually, no, it's not. You're not different. You've been here before. We've done this before.
Yes, I have.
You have changed, though, actually. You're actually looking quite trim, I might say. Everybody, it's Adam Parkin. You remember him from such PC games as...
All of them.
All of them. He plays them. Again, contractually obligated to go back on everything we've said to get him on the show. But I'm glad he's here, because if he wasn't, I'd be alone. Matt Amberg, we all love Matt. He's not here. He can't handle PAX. He doesn't like it. He hates it all. No, he went to like New Orleans and did some other stuff. I think I just outed him. I don't know if he wanted people to know that. He's back now, so you can't find him, if that's what you're thinking of doing. We're in a different hotel this year.
We are?
You're of the mind that you never went to the Crown Plaza.
I don't think I did.
Where we were...
I have many memories of the Motif.
The Motif we were at for a big, long time. Before that, the Virginia Mason. We're trying to figure out if one year we stayed at the Sheraton.
I think we did.
We never figured that out. He thinks we did, and I could believe him, because this is going on 10 years?
For you, yeah. I think this is my 8th.
Could be 10 years. Again, I haven't looked it up. I should, but we all know we don't do that on this show. Sorry for anybody viewing this. Again, for any real viewers, we know we have audio viewers. Now we can have real viewers, because this thing has a video portion. I keep looking at the monitor. I do that because it has my notes, but also
same thing.
Because we're doing this lo-fi in that I didn't bring any of my camera stuff, which I usually do. This is on the iPhone, which is also why I think the color's a little wonky. I mean, you're Canadian, but you look a little red. I don't know if that's related. I'm looking a little red, too. I think it's this light. Again, different hotel this year. Usually I have some space to work with the whole setup here. This is a little smaller.
It is kind of a tight space.
Always feels weird doing it in a hotel room anyways. I know. I think people halfway through, like, they see the city. I've had some compliments on, how cool that backdrop is. But then if you let your eyes go, and I feel like it's worse this time, you're just seeing the reflection of our hotel room. Like, it always feels weird doing this so close to a toilet. But
wait, no.
What are you going to do?
See that?
What are
that's
you
over
gonna
there?
Do? Yeah, that's the hallway.
That's that way.
This is like a bad version of shadow puppets. Look at my shadows. That's just my hand for real. How's PAX going for you so far, Adam?
It's been good. It's definitely different. Like, I missed last year, so I know last year you...
Like, you weren't here last year, or you missed last year? It's been
both.
So long. Okay.
Both.
It was a good year last year.
It was good to take a break away from PAX, but...
Why? Since I can't stop going. Why?
Why can't you stop going?
Why is it good to take a break? Help me out.
It was PAX is a lot. It's a lot to...
Okay, that checks out.
Yeah. 4 days is a lot, and I'm only doing 2 days this year, and that's probably good. I'm going to be pretty tired at the end of the 2 days.
You usually don't do the 4th day. I feel like you haven't done the 4th day in a long time.
I usually head back sort of midday on the 1st.
In fact, have you ever done the 4th day?
I've been around like for the morning of the 4th day,
but you've never actually done, because PAX didn't used to be 4 days, right? Like, it used to be just 3. It probably was just 2 at some point, huh?
I forgot that like when we first started going, it was only 3 days.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to say, since it went to 4 days, actually, very interesting. I feel like you did get a 4-day pass at least once, because we used to buy 4-day passes together.
I've definitely gotten 4-day passes.
So you've done the 4 days. Okay, all right.
But usually,
speaking of which, 4-day passes are back. Look at that fun this year.
Except for me, I only get the
well, yeah, because you're only doing 2 days, like you mentioned.
So I get 2 passes.
We haven't figured out what goes in the little. Was that a hectagon? What is the hectagon? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that might be a hectagon. Everybody. Mrs.
5?
Abrahamson, my middle school geometry teacher, would be proud. So PAX is good. Good.
PAX
That's good.
It is different though. Like, it's different. Definitely different walking around the expo hall floor. I mean, I remember the first few years we went, and the first year I went to PAX, I remember walking in and seeing like the big Gears of War statue of Marcus Phoenix standing there, and like all the AAA title stuff. And
was that 3?
I think it was.
It must have been 3.
I think it was 3.
10 friggin' years. Oh, almost 10.
almost
friggin' years.
Yeah. And like this year, I mean, like aside from Borderlands 3, there's no real game on the floor.
That used to be the thing, yeah. And I feel like we've talked about that before. There's always like one big game that's like the game. In years, it's been like Evolve. That's just the thing that takes up the center. Titanfall was one. I don't know if that was one for everybody. That was one for me, definitely that year.
For sure.
Borderlands 2.
There's a theme.
Yeah, so it's a lot's been coming back around this year, I feel like. Borderlands being one of them. And we haven't played that yet. Maybe so, what do we do? Okay, so sometimes we do this in order. I'll do a little bit of it in order. It's been a rough PAX more than usual because for the first time, hey, you said it was rough first. I'm just telling you why I think it's rough. You gave me a face for people not viewing the viewing. How's the blocking? Are we doing okay? I don't think so. We got nice swivel chairs this time. Look, I can go all the way.
Chair. I got the.
I've got the swivel. I've got all the power. Great audio medium material. Yeah, you do that. Cross your legs. I cropped out the crotches this year for, again, no direct complaints, but yeah. So this year, for the first year ever in the airport, I realized I forgot the PAX badges. We have our normal routine where the badges go on sale. We see who can get in line. Actually, no, we all get in line, and then whoever gets taken up in the queue first buys the badges for everybody. How many years running has it been you always get them first? I feel like I haven't got them for like 2 or 3 years, haven't I? Or you didn't go last year, so.
I didn't get them last year, so.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, so Adam got the badges. He is Canadian. Have we gone over that yet? Tim Hortons, Loonies, Toonies, etc. A boot, thank you. And he gets them shipped to my house, so he doesn't have to pay for international shipping. They came to my house. I got them. I forgot to put them in my bag and took off to the airport. Also realized it the moment they said the plane was delayed. So I call my wife. I say, please, I forgot the badges. Actually, I said, what I said? I don't even know where they are because I had moved around.
Whoops.
Long story. I had to reconfigure my whole office. And the badges ended up somewhere. I figured out where they were anyways. But told her, I was like, she's like, I found them. She's like, do you want me to bring them to you? The airport's 30 minutes away from me. So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, might as well try. I had looked up online, and apparently you can most of the time get badges through will call if they're willing to believe you, but they have a scalping problem and a counterfeit problem, so they won't always do that. So I was like, do it. Go, thank you. And she took off, and basically it was just a race against time at that point. Will she make it in time? Also, I'm like, I go to the airport people, and I'm like, hey, told them the situation. I'm like, if she gets here, I have to go out and go through security all over again, don't I? And they're like, yep. So I'm like working this all out. I go back to the airport people like 3 times, and I'm like, what if this? And they're like, no. I'm like, what if this? And they're like about to arrest me. So I'm like, okay, that's probably okay. So I walk out to the middle area, right before TSA, and I see a policeman headed out the door, and I'm like, officer, and he drew his gun immediately. No, he turned around and he's like, I'm headed out the door. I'm like, okay, tell me, if my wife comes with badges, it's a whole situation. I was like, would she be able to give them to you to then give to me, like run them through TSA and like, I don't know, swab them, whatever you got to do. And he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. That was the other people led me to believe it would be difficult. So he goes out and he's like, when's she going to be here? I'm like, 15 minutes. Took her like 30, maybe closer. So yeah, no, I felt bad. I think he was on site. So I don't think he was like, people were dying because he was waiting for me. But he went out there and I called my wife. I was like, hey, there's going to be a cop out there, pull in nicely, like hide all the guns. It's only funny the first time. And she got them to him and he brought them in. And meanwhile, I'm waiting in the middle, again, like atrium area between terminal and TSA. It's a small airport. And the TSA people are starting to notice me on the other side of the glass. Like, who's this dude? And I see one guy see me and he keeps looking at me. So I like turn away so he doesn't get suspicious, or not that so he doesn't get. I'm not doing anything.
That works out well.
But yeah, no, but then I see him like go over and talk to a person like while he's not trying to look at me, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna get really bad. But the cop got it, and he came in, and I think they were like, oh, that's why. Okay, cool. It got me the tickets and the plane. Meanwhile, again, still hoping that they don't fix whatever's wrong with the plane, because it's a mechanical issue. So I'm like, gee, I hope they don't fix the plane in time. It was great. Anyways, this podcast was not meant to be that entire story, but it worked out. I got the passes, and I didn't have to tell any of you that. I could have pretended like I was super cool and didn't forget them for once in 10 years, but I did.
Yeah. For my part, I had this long email thread that I didn't notice until the end of the day, so I saw the whole story like at the end.
All at once. Yeah. Yes. I'm glad you got that.
Otherwise, it would have been a very stressful afternoon.
So here we are at PAX, and you were in here day one. If I could run through day one real quick with you. Okay. So, let's see. Let's check notes here. Dead Space is not only a great game, but it's a wonderful way to run your podcast. So first thing you notice when you get to PAX this year, the rotating restaurant on the bottom floor. It's been a pizza restaurant before.
Yep.
It's
pizza for a while.
But like 3 different brands or stores. Yeah. Like it's different every year. And it's not always... If one year it wasn't pizza, I can't remember what it was. Because it's never the best. Like it's always... not a surprise that it's different. Yeah, we're like, okay, I'm going to go to Taco Del Mar again. Great inside jokes for people that love coming to PAX. Are we in focus? That's another thing I don't know. Running the feed through here. People of the audio medium, tell me if I'm in focus. This year, it's a Greek place. Why am I starting with this? I don't know. It's good food. Check out the Greek place. Couple...
You hear the sirens?
Surprise, we're in LA. I'm going to skip through a couple of these things. Borderlands 3 is the big thing on the show floor. Freaking Spy Party is back again. I don't understand. It's like been out.
It will never leave.
It's got to be 3 years, but it also was, I think it's been at PAX literally every year I've been to PAX.
Yep, same.
10 years at least minimum running that game at PAX. I hear it's okay. I should check it out. I've never checked it out. Maybe that's my problem. We've been at PAX 10 years. Nobody checks us out. Okay. So I went and tried to get into Hades first. And maybe this dovetails a little bit with the Supergiant panel. Was that today? That was today because you were there. So it doesn't really dovetail because that's day 2. We're going in order. Why this was significant, the trip to Hades, is because I think it opens up an opportunity to explain how to convention, because I got in line between only 2 people, and it's a smaller booth. Supergiant's a smaller developer. The guys that did Bastion, Pyre, Transistor, and they had 2 stations going. One of them was kind of managed by the people. It was called the Heat Challenge or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not that familiar with the game. I'm trying to be. Other side, again, was just 3-4 stations that were kind of self-managed. Dude, in the beginning of the line, probably the first guy of the day, I wasn't there late. I didn't wait in line. Another theme of show this year is that we're getting too old to get up at 7 and wait in line anymore.
See, I've always been too old for that crap.
That's true. I'm getting too old. I turned 40 this year. What can I say? And guy in front is like into this game, and it's cool. Like us around get to watch anyways, but you got to keep in mind why you're there. And again, to each his own. Sure, for me, I'm there to get a taste of the game. I'm there to, decide if I'm going to buy it. I'm there to talk with the developers. I'm there to maybe look at the menus. But if you're looking at the menus, you're working on a build. You're thinking about leveling up. You are doing everything that this dude in the first line, first in line was doing. He was like into the menus. He was like going back and forth between the levels. He was taking his time, but I'm like, dude, what's your like main goal here? Are you like, you're not taking this character home with you? And the 30 minutes that this went on, though, man, it was... I hope he had fun. The two of us behind him, I can't imagine had as much. I left. I haven't got to play Hades yet, so we'll see how it goes. I'm saving some of these for Monday, but lesson number 1. That booth is by the Devolver booth. If you haven't got a look at Carrion, especially Matt, if you're watching this, take a look at Carrion. That is a game, Carrion. If you know Devolver, you kind of know maybe what you're getting into. I don't think you do. You're like this amorphous
blob
pile of guts.
Yeah.
And you get bigger. One of the dudes I saw was pretty big. It looks like mostly a navigation puzzle, I think is the actual game. But the visuals, as with many Devolver games, are out there. Worth a look. Check that out. What else we got here? PAX, more stores than ever before, I have written here. And I guess that'll probably go with... I feel like every time we get into PAX, there's also, and you touched on this maybe a little bit already early on, is that there's always a segment where we talk about what PAX used to be and what it's become. I think that's maybe saved a little bit more. So, teaser. There's a new Predator game out there, apparently, on the show floor. This might be the big thing that Sony's pushing. It's taking up most of their floor space.
Yeah, it's a huge booth.
I don't know anything about it.
No, me neither, but I don't have a PlayStation. I don't really follow Sony. So.
True. I have a PlayStation, and I don't really follow Sony. But that's not true. I follow games, and obviously a lot of them come to the PS4, which I own.
La-di-da.
And it looks like it might be some sort of Evolve, which was a game I really enjoyed against all odds. So I don't know. I don't even know why I'm mentioning that, really. Probably because Death Stranding is a theater experience this year. So I don't think I'll be partaking in that. If it were playable, I think I'd probably be over there for sure. Death Stranding? Anybody? Okay. All right. Again, proving why we do this. Why our fan base is small but passionate. That shares only our exact interests because... Stadia is on the floor. Yeah, thank you. Stadia is on the floor. Google Stadia. Why this is important. 2 reasons, to me, anyways. Again, getting hyper-specific here. They had the mobile stuff on demo, and that is intensely interesting to me because while I don't think I'll be playing a lot of PC games on mobile, the opportunity to do that is very intriguing. I'm not a PC gamer, much like Adam here. Just kidding. But the ability to take that kind of anywhere could get me into it. Like, I would love that option on my Xbox. I know that's
totally
possibly coming soon. But so not only did they have that, though, they had Doom Eternal. And I looked for a Bethesda booth this year. I don't think it exists. And I haven't, granted, I haven't been all over the 6th floor yet. I can't believe it would be on the 6th floor. That's usually reserved for... Oh, you have been on the 6th floor.
I walked around the other half of the 6th floor today, and I have not seen Bethesda presence.
So, which is strange, actually. Not even a Bethesda store, which is doubly strange.
Because that was always a thing. Like, even if they didn't really have games to play, they always had that store.
Definitely has been, that's where I got all my Evolve shirts. Again, that game's coming up. But Doom Eternal, I want to play very badly, and I won't force you to talk about how you don't like the new Doom. I feel like we brought that up every PAX, maybe? Anytime we get you in a room?
Check out Adam's previous episode on Zero Hit Points.
Did you play it? Okay, you said you did try it, though. Doom 2016 we're talking about here. Did you try it on a PC?
No.
Okay, see? That might be the problem. I don't know why. Did you only play PC games or going in the complete opposite direction? So I wanted to play Doom Eternal super bad. That line was a bit long, so I went to the mobile stuff first, and they had MK11, Mortal Kombat 11 on mobile. So I went up, talked to the girl, got in. I was like asking her all these questions, and I'm not ragging on any of the booth workers because they are often not developers or even from the same city. Sometimes they're locally employed, obviously. So not that I was down on her for not knowing, but I kind of got the feeling that I should probably dig a little bit deeper. I was like, so is this coming to iPhone? She's like, oh yeah, iPhone. I'm like, holy crap, that's crazy, because I have an iPhone, number one, but also because I know that Valve ran into that problem specifically, I think, when they wanted to bring, what was their Steambox? No, not Steambox, the stream. Valve has a stream thing.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
You know what I'm talking about? And they tried to get an iPhone app going, and Apple very protective of that stuff because they have their app store and their ecosystem. They don't allow any other app stores on their phone, obviously. So that was an announcement to me. In fact, okay, the story has an ending, but I was a little iffy on that. And then I was like, so the controller, is that connected to the phone? Because Google Stadia, the controller is actually, for the computer version, I guess, connected via Wi-Fi. So it's not connected to the game on your PC. It's connected Wi-Fi, and they're syncing up somewhere else over there. I'm guessing that cuts down on latency. And she was like, oh yeah, Bluetooth to the phone. I'm like, okay. So in any event, I also asked her how the stuff was set up, because a lot of times at cons, when they're trying to demo the streaming stuff, it's all like, what is that going to teach you?
Yeah,
outside. Because
very controlled environment.
But these are phones, right? So I'm like, these aren't hardwired, right? These are Wi-Fi. And she's like, yeah, Wi-Fi. So I believe that a little bit more, because they were all plugged in, but who knows? I'm guessing Google could figure out how to hardwire a phone for the internet, so whatever. But she said that it was Wi-Fi, so 1 out of 3 might not be bad here. In any event, I played Mortal Kombat 11 on a Google Pixel and did not notice a thing. It looks freaking gorgeous. I did not notice any lag at all. So
nice.
Still going strong. And you can go back. I got into the beta, so I was playing back when it was called Project Stream, I think, or something like that. Played Assassin's Creed on my Mac in Chrome with an Xbox controller that was actually connected Bluetooth to my PC, obviously. So, whatever.
Pretty cool.
That story will have a continuation on later. From there, it was at the Gearbox panel. And I know we've talked about Gearbox before and recently, and some of their struggles as of late, some of our wants and desires and questions about Borderlands 3, what that game is going to be, how it can be that, and, Randy Pitchford, whatever, etc., medieval times. And I was curious to get more information on the game. Also, you go to... So the Gearbox panel at PAX is a huge thing because they've been giving out games forever. I, not so famously, but to me, had never paid a dime for Borderlands or all of the Borderlands 2 DLC.
Yes, I remember those years because I was here for them and I didn't.
And you didn't go to the panel. No, wait.
I think...
Were you here or had you gone already?
The one year, I think I was just too far back in the line, so I never got into the panel.
Oh, I remember that.
And then I think there was another year where, for some reason, I didn't get to the panel on time or something.
Huh.
I don't remember. Because I remember after the panel, you texted me saying, I got Borderlands 2, I think.
Matt has definitely never made... he's always left, I think, at that point. I think. Actually, no, I don't know. Again, who knows?
That might have been me one year, too, actually. Actually, that might have been
some years, yeah, definitely. You guys took off, and I was there alone, but whatever. I'm not bitter.
Not at all.
They did not give away Borderlands this year. They gave away Risk of Rain 2. Gearbox has a publishing arm now. Many of you may know. They had a big, long trailer about it. And they gave away the DLC, the new DLC that came out for Borderlands 2 that's supposed to bridge the gap between 2 and 3. So that's funny because I continue to not pay any money for Borderlands 2. But Borderlands 3, I guess I'll be paying for the rest of my life. And in more ways than one, because they did answer a lot of the questions that I had about Borderlands 3. We spoke a lot about what are the games as service hooks that are going to be in this thing, because it's got to have it. Because every game that's coming out now that's kind of borrowing on the evolution of a Borderlands type, Borderlands was a big connected multiplayer experience that was kind of proto Destiny is, the games of service thing. That's probably not a good example, actually. It's another evolutionary step, I would say. You could trace a line between Borderlands to Destiny to Anthem is another bad example. Why are these things the ones that come to mind? Yes, trace Borderlands 2, which I feel like I like more than other people, to Destiny, which definitely has some issues, to Anthem, which is dead in the water. Don't do that. They answered a lot of those questions. They basically said that they looked at the people that are still playing Borderlands 2. I don't know why this doesn't surprise me. Gearbox, much like, not Epic now, I guess it's Coalition, but much like the franchise Gears of War, has hangers-on, like has become a culture of sorts. I mean, it's part of the reason they're able to do these panels and these shows. Like the Gearbox panel is unlike any other. Like it's a show, that thing. So it's not surprising that people are still playing Borderlands 2. It's also not surprising that we're talking about Borderlands 2 and not the pre-sequel, a newer game,
Right.
That thing has had legs. And me and Matt forever played, we're over 100 hours on the game, easy. Did you ever, me and Adam, I'm surprised this whole thing isn't about achievements, but did you 100% Borderlands 2?
Yep.
Okay, so that's probably close to 100 hours alone anyways. Yeah. Even if you mainline that thing, which... Did you play it after the fact, or were you...
No, I Borderlands 2 I bought. It was the day one.
Okay, all right. So, Borderlands 3, they've said they've looked at people that are still playing Borderlands 2, and they've basically targeted the end game for that stuff. And they talked about numerous modes. I know it's out there, and you can look up probably the details on them. Some of them are called, I think, Mayhem mode. They talked about takedowns, which are basically raids. And so they're going to be doing a lot to turn that game more into is it a game as service or a service game? Can we just say service game at this point? I feel like that's a stupid word, but then that would be fitting.
Right. The game that never dies.
The game that never dies. Yes. Whatever. I mean, you don't have to take part in that, which I wouldn't necessarily, but I mean, I did. I don't know. It's still going to be curious what happens because they talked about a DLC plan. They also talked about events. So it's going to be definitely, it's going to have some of those hooks that games nowadays have, that aren't Borderlands. So Borderlands 3. We might talk about the Tiny Build booth at some point. I don't know if yet, because we didn't actually play any games from it. But man, I got my eye on that space.
Oh, just like their booth?
Yeah. Did you see this stuff? They got, number one, they have a Switch game, which I don't know if I wrote down the title of. Graveyard Keeper.
Yeah.
They have the coffins. They're demoing in coffins.
Yes.
You get a thing of the Switch, you lay down in the coffin, and you play the game like that, which, I mean, cons are full of gimmicky stuff, but that kind of landed for me for whatever reason, so, I don't know, get in a coffin and play a game. Yeah, it's just dumb enough for me. It's fun. I did not do it because there's a line, because you can imagine moves pretty slowly when you're putting everybody in a coffin.
When you're dead.
Yeah. But no, they got Secret Neighbor going on, which Matt likes Hello Neighbor, so that's a sequel-ish thing. Look like they're dealing with class types. Again, I haven't played any of these, and I've just kind of had my eye on stuff because of the other games that aren't that big one. Hellpoint, which looks like kind of a Hellraiser Dark Souls thing. It's really weird.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's weird looking, but both of those things are too, Hellraiser and Dark Souls. So I have no idea if that's apt, but that's what it looks like. Another game called Not for Broadcast, which for all intents and purposes looks like a gamified broadcasting layout. Like literally, they're like, here's camera A, camera B, screen one. This is a few seconds behind this. And then it gives you tasks to do within certain amounts of time. It looks crazy. Like, I can see how that would be gamified. I can see how also somebody sitting around would be like streaming, right? Like, people are doing these complicated streaming setups in their house, like maybe in abbreviated form here and there. Like Matt was doing a lot of this when he was streaming Dead by Daylight on the Zero Hit Points channel. So it's funny to me that but obvious that has game potential in itself. And then another one called Once Upon a Time in Roswell, which has just real. It's kind of a, what do they call those? An immersive sim type thing. So Bioshocky, think, except it's. I mean, think of the title, Once Upon a Time in Roswell. It's very concentrated on telling a story and being a story. So some of those hooks look really, really interesting. So I haven't played any of those games, but walking through that booth in that area, I'm like, man, Tiny Build, like they got something going on. And then I was back at Stadia because I didn't get to play Doom. And also, while in line, I noticed a freaking Super Hot trailer. You haven't played Super Hot, so you don't care. But you should, because everybody should, because it's super hot, and it's freaking amazing.
Super hot.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows the Super Hot catchphrase. Super hot. But there is, I think it's, I did write it down here. Mind Control Delete, which is a great title, number 1. Also, I asked another boother at that time, I'm like, hey, does that looks like more Super Hot? And they're like, yeah, Super Hot. I'm like, yeah, but is that like an add-on? They're like, I'm like, okay, all right.
Just nod.
Yeah,
Just
they
nod.
didn't. This is she. Were you? I don't know if you were there for this. No, okay. This is day 1. You were not here. The girl I was asking this, she's like, that's a good question. Oh, and I re-asked her too. I was like, hey, so the mobile thing's coming to iPhone? She's like, that's a good question. Let me ask. She disappears. Another dude shows up, like super official go-getter guy that I think might have been an actual Stadia employee or just good at his job. Again, not that she wasn't. She went to find out for me, and she did come back and was going to tell me. But I was like, yeah, I think I broke the other girl. Do you know like this and this? And he was like, again, super hot. He had no idea. It's gotta be. And I'm sure if I looked it up, I would know. But it looks like more super hot is coming. It looks like Google Stadia is continuing to target like timing specific games, right? So super hot, again, very much being one of those, even though it's not even as timing specific, I would say, as, like Mortal Kombat, but still it's very dependent, and if that thing isn't running right, the game doesn't work. So if this is how we get more super hot, I don't care. Like, I may very well subscribe to Stadia,
all the Stadias
to super hot myself all the more. But then I did get into Doom Eternal. I waited in line for not even 5 minutes, and one of the guys came up and he's like, who would like to play 10 minutes of Doom instead of 15 minutes of Doom? And I said, I would, knowing full well that I would just come back later and just play more Doom, possibly. So I was like, I'll do it. He took me in right away, and he's like, do you want to play this tutorial? And I'm like, do I need the tutorial? And he's like, if you think you need the tutorial, you probably need the tutorial. I'm like, that's circular logic. That doesn't tell me anything. And again, played the first Doom to death and loved it. And I was like, okay, I'll tutorial. So I tutorialed, and I am glad I did, because the traversal stuff is way more involved than I thought it was. We kind of have seen there's like a swinging thing to it.
Yeah.
I think the last game still had like mantling and stuff like that, right? Like you could climb up onto stuff. You hit corners.
You would know better than I would.
Okay, I think so. Now you can like swing on a pole like a friggin' gymnast and dismount and stuff like that. There's an air dash, which I'm pretty sure there was not in the first game. So, and you can change. Oh, and there's a wall climb, like a straight up, not even like a limited amount of time wall climb. I don't think like you can climb forever, I think. But then you chain all these things together. So at one point I was like climbed a wall, and then I jumped off, and then I air dashed and hit another wall that I climbed up onto and then mantled. So the demo or tutorial is probably a good idea. Game crashed after the tutorial thing. Stadia crashed. I don't know if the game crashed. But before that, it went into the next step. And again, I was obviously in the middle of this demo. That was why I got to go early. So I don't know what this had to do with that, if some of this had to do with that. But it went into a trailer, and then I noticed pixelation. I was like, okay, which I noticed a little bit of when I was doing Project Stream with Assassin's Creed. Like, it does happen, much like a YouTube video. And this, obviously, they're sacrificing resolution for not lag. What's the fancy term? Latency.
Yes.
So I did notice some of that, but then I also noticed it was actually a trailer that I was seeing. It wasn't gameplay. And then that's when it crashed. So I'm like, well, I guess I was just watching a trailer anyways. Had to wait for the dude to come back. He fixed it all up for me. I got back into the game and was right back into it. The thing I tried to memorize, didn't do great at, but got a little bit more fun with when I was in there, is that the same loop is in there. You're chainsawing to get more ammo, and you're doing something else to get more health. I don't know, that drops come out of the enemies. But they've added a flame cannon, which you do to get more armor, and then something else. You're doing 4 things, and I can't even remember what they all are. But so basically they took that loop of doing this to get that and to keep it going while you're moving around the room. They added like 2 to 3 more things to the mix. And it's like I found myself already doing 2 of them right off the bat. So it's super smooth. And again, played the other one to death. So I don't know how much of this I came into so smoothly because of that. Mm-hmm. But it's good.
Sure it is.
You should play it.
It's not the original 2.
I'll probably go back and play some more of that. Is that it for day 1? I think that's it for day 1. They did get back with me that it is only going to be on Google Pixel for the beginning. They said eventually iPhone. Not iPhone at launch, but they're going to work on that. I'm still curious how they'll make that work because, again, Apple not very friendly to additional ecosystems, especially game-related, but they're working on it, so we'll see. Oh, I went to the Mega 64 panel also that day.
Oh, yeah.
Always fun. Always great. Always incredible fun, actually. And now 10 years worth. It's so weird.
To say 10 years?
A freaking decade, man. Like, it's getting weird, this stuff. Like, and they showed some of their older videos, and it's just weird what stuff has become. It's just weird. I don't know if I can voice it even really.
I think he means it's weird.
It's weird, but they did a great job of making me laugh. So Mega 64, still at it. And that's day 1 in a tight 30 minutes, just about.
The other thing that was day 1 are these masks.
Okay, I did get some masks on day 1, that's true. Oh, and that was one of mine. I have 3. If anybody needs an extra mask, just come find me. Also, they give out a zillion at PAX every day. I've talked quite a long time. Adam, did you have any questions about all of that or things you want to add? No. Politely.
I guess I'm kind of curious, like from what you saw at the Gearbox panel, did it make you more excited, less excited, or the same for Borderlands 3?
I did mention this to you. I wish it's a bad, stupid, personal, selfish, inappropriate, darn near immoral wish. I wish Borderlands 3 was like a 40-hour game.
Yeah.
And even, that's being generous. Like somewhere deep inside me, I wish it was like 20 hours.
Yeah.
Honestly. But yeah, I know I need to get over not finishing games, and not that I won't not finish it. I may eventually finish it, but I also might eventually finish Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's just...
Yeah, but it's like you see all the panels and the trailers and all their stuff.
It's good. No, and again, it's dumb. They shouldn't make this game, but it's 100+ hour. It's a platform. Borderlands is one of those games that's a platform, right? Rock Band is a platform. Again, Gears of War, I guess, is a platform. I'm just probably more angry about that. Borderlands is a platform, and they're going to keep doing what they should do and cultivate that community and that culture, and that's great. I can't game like that anymore, and, part of it makes me sad, so I selfishly wish dirty things like short 20-hour game, short 40-hour experiences that I can play over the course of a year, probably still. So that's. Am I more or less excited for it? I am exactly as excited for it as I have been. It's looks like it's going to have this is a good thing. It looks like it's going to have something for everybody. in a good way. It looks like if you want more of what Borderlands has been, if you want Borderlands that has always been, regardless of whether or not that has aged well or, hasn't evolved or isn't the next best thing, the higher road is that they gave us something that isn't a game as service necessarily, but is an evolution of that game that maybe takes some risks, but is still really cool and does something new and exciting. That's maybe the high road here. Also the fine road is that it's more Borderlands and you get that, and it's been 4 or 5 years anyways, so you're ready for it. And I get to play some games with you and Matt here and there, and it's fun. That's great. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool.
So it looks like it's going to have some of that, and then it's going to have an end game that you can just keep going with forever if you want. So I don't know that there's much more to say or much, what would it take for it to come out and be horrible, I guess is my question.
Well, I'm sure they can find a way.
What would it be though?
Well, I know what you mean though, right? Like we all kind of know what we're going to get with Borderlands.
Right. What if it came out and the story's bad?
Yeah.
Would you stop playing it?
No. Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah,
you still get something out of it, right? Yeah. I mean, I played a lot of Wolfenstein while we've been here by myself even. Story ain't great on that thing, but again, maybe we're talking about the same thing that we've been talking about. Day one. In the books.
And then I showed up.
And then you showed up. And day two began. Day one for you, day two for me. The Canadian day one, again, the exchange rate. Wait. No, that would be Canadian day two. Actually, I don't know. What is I'm used to seeing Canadian things cost more than the U.S. things.
The number is bigger.
So Canadian day two
is like U.S.
day one. Wow, that was a bad joke when it started, and it got worse as it went along. Okay, so one thing I found out during day one, was that Final Fantasy VII Remake is on the floor. I know a lot of people are interested in that thing. It's hotly contested in many circles. The remake, that is, because the first is such a beloved, who knows what's going to happen. I know they got it. I've never touched a Final Fantasy in my life.
It's like when people take their favorite games and remake them later. Those hardcore fans don't appreciate the remake. Doom!
Raider?
Doom.
Oh, Doom. Doom Raider. You're right. That game was kind of a disappointment. So the other thing we found out about Final Fantasy, though, was that they are, to my knowledge, the first exhibitor to figure out what Disneyland figured out, I don't know how many years ago, is that if you hand out tickets with certain times on them, the people can come back at those times, wait in line for not 3 hours, and enter the thing and do the thing. So I was like, shoot, if we go there at the beginning, which when they hand out all the tickets, and we get a ticket, and it's for a time, and we can just go there and go in and go out, I'm into that. Again, never played a Final Fantasy before in my life. But I like that concept, and that would get me a game that, is worth talking about for many reasons, quality notwithstanding.
Yeah.
So we went there, we got tickets. So I thought it was going to be at the Sony booth. I mean, that's a decent mistake. Yeah, this ended up being very awesome, but I thought it was at the Sony booth. We book it to the Sony booth, which is all the way on the other end, and it was not there. And not only was it not there, it was directly in front of the entrance. So we walked in the entrance, found this throng. There was a throng of people too, remember? And I was like, man, what the heck's going on here? They're making it really hard to get through, but we still got through. And I was like, yeah, we're good at that. Got over to the Sony booth. I'm like, it's not here.
Whoops.
And went all the way back to the throng of people and got in the line and got our tickets for the perfect time where we didn't have a panel or pretty much anything else on the books.
Yeah.
There was a panel that was like Marvel games, and I was like, this might be interesting. But we got the ticket for 4 p.m. So we're like, whatever, cool. So I guess we can go out of order. I'll break with tradition here. We come back at 4 p.m.
Oh, you're continuing the Final Fantasy story?
Yeah. Are you going to save that for later?
No,
we could build it up. You're right. It's a good show. Adam.
Build the suspense.
Just always on it. We went upstairs at this point. This is all main floor stuff. So there's 2 sides in the main floor. Checked all that out. Had a game plan going. Went up to the 6th floor, which we hadn't checked out all that much. Got roped into a game called No Straight Roads, I think. Nice dude. Talked to us real quick. Kind of out of the way. The 6th floor is weird. It's lots of merch booths, lots of actual stores, not just like developers or publishers. More often than not, setting up stores to make money. It's like a lot of
There's more of a sort of indie-ish.
Yeah, it's not Think Geek, but it's like those type of stores, like Fangamer.
Yeah,
I think is the actual name of one. Yeah, so
Which
is where we usually get the stuff for our kids. So that's good. It's great.
Less of that this year, though.
In fact, Fangamer especially. No Exploding Kittens merch on the floor. So I'm having a hard time figuring out what to get for the little lady. It's my daughter. That's a term for little lady, right? What's a slang term for daughter in Canada?
Kid.
You guys.
Kid A.
Kid A. Nice. That's a Radiohead album. But the No Straight Roads, we walk by, he's like in the corner, it's like, we're a game, and while everyone around them is selling like Nintendo wallets and board games, maybe. And he's like, okay, it's rhythm.
Well, he said it wasn't so much.
Yeah,
it's the way he put it was it's not a rhythm game where you have like notes string. Like
there's no note highway, there's no falling jewels, which is fine. Like I understood that part, and I'm fine with that. But he still led me to believe that rhythm and music was involved in the thing.
Yeah, he said it's like you can get by without paying attention to the music, but if you do, it will help you in some way or something like that.
I don't know, but
the connection was very...
Maybe the reason he had a hard time explaining it is because it was literally very tenuous. I believe it's pre-alpha, so take that for what it's worth, but I didn't find the music especially compelling. I didn't find the story is like you're up against an evil DJ, and I think you're mad at electronic music because you're kind of an indie band. But
yeah, it was kind of...
It just wasn't tied into the gameplay at all. Like I didn't have to hit everything because it makes a big point. It's like music is everything, and you will find yourself doing better or getting more out of the game if you give yourself to the music and use that to help you. But to my knowledge, like none of the hits were like none of the what am I thinking of? The damage was being dealt to the beat or anything. None of the game appeared to be happening to the beat in a way that I could take advantage of.
Yeah,
there was a disconnect there that I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't play it. I they had 2 headphones on each booth, and so I was listening to the game as you were, but you were the one who actually had the control in your hand. And like I was kind of watching you as you were playing, and I was kind of expecting to see things like, maybe as you break things, if you break things to the beat, it would be more effective, or you get some sort of visual indicator that you're doing better in some way, and that like whether you're mashing the button or trying to time it, I saw no difference whatsoever.
Didn't seem to matter. It seemed like just kind of a normal, I guess, character action, adventure game type layout. Yeah, so third person. I don't know. They can make it great. It's not outside the realm of possibility.
The idea on its face is kind of interesting. Like a game that's
why
incorporates rhythm in some new way.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I'm into it.
But
that did not do it yet.
Nope.
So we'll see next year, I guess, maybe. Then we did go to the Supergiant panel. That was a lot of fun.
10 years of Supergiant.
10 years of Supergiant. I guess Bastion came out, or they started working on it 10 years ago, which it came out only 6 months after they started working on it. In his father's living room, they bought 4 desks and set them up in the living room, and one by one more people came on, and since then, obviously, Transistor, and I feel like they've just done so much more, but no, like if you think about that studio, it's
4 games.
Bastion, Transistor, Pyre, and now Hades.
Yeah. And what's weird is, like, of those 4 games, the only one I've really played is Bastion.
Yeah, twice even. Did you play the Xbox One version?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I've probably, like, replayed it a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they added stuff to the Xbox One version. Also, I don't remember a lot of the challenge circles from the first game.
Yeah, I wondered that too, actually. Yeah. I couldn't remember if they were in the original or not.
But it's been a while.
But yeah, no, the panel was really good. It was really interesting. It was kind of a bit of like that sort of heartwarming story of like, you know, like most of the people who started Supergiant were people like ex-EA employees. And
some like Westwood guys, lots of Red Alert guys.
A lot of Command and Conquer and those people.
RTS guys, made sense.
So just seeing them, they were just kind of following their passion, and it worked out well for them. And that's, you know, it's a cool story, right?
Yeah, it actually really got me wanting to play Transistor and Pyre.
Totally,
more than before.
Same.
So, I'm interested in developers with strong identities, and you know, I mean, everybody looks at a Supergiant game, they're like, "Oh, it's a Supergiant game," because, and she was there. The art director has a very distinct style, but also it was fun because she talked about, was it Pyre or Transistor now? I can't remember. Where she tried to switch it up. I think it was Pyre, obviously.
I think it was both. Like they talked really a lot about how, like, it was interesting hearing them discuss how, like, Bastion, they sort of arrived what they wanted to do fairly quickly, and then like they were in the PAX 10 one year, and then right after that there was like a series of a few months before they hammered the game out. It was just flew, and like the way the art director put it is, it was easy.
Yeah.
The way she put it on the panel it was like diarrhea. It just flew out of me. It was easy, and that was kind of the joke for the panel.
Exactly what she said.
But
then we went and got a street dog.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. Just kidding.
But then they talked about how, like, when they started working on Transistor, it was like they really wanted to avoid the sophomore slump, and they really wanted to sort of do something that was different, and they really struggled with that sort of progression. That was really interesting. It was really
her especially, like,
yeah,
she talked about how she was trying to do something different, and she talked about another artist she drew inspiration from.
Yeah.
And she talked about the disappointment when it came out, and everybody was like, "Oh, you can tell it's a Supergiant game because look at the artwork." She was like, "Dang,
what was all that suffering for?"
But it was funny hearing her talk about that, though, and they had slides that would come up afterwards. And then looking, I could be like, "Oh yeah, you know, I actually kind of see that." Totally. And that stuff is gorgeous, anyways. You really fall in love with that artwork either way.
Yeah.
And Hades is no different. Hades looks good. I hope I get to play it. But the panel was cool. I am interested in developers with an identity, and I'm interested in playing those games and kind of sussing out that identity with those games. Like, I'm super interested in playing Transistor because they're also a company that's not content with resting on their laurels. Like, Transistor and Pyre both seem wildly different from Bastion and wildly different from each other.
Yeah.
Hades reminds me more of Bastion than anything so far.
I haven't really seen anything.
So if you watch it for 30 minutes, the dude's got a sword.
It's just a bunch of menus.
But it seems to be a lot like it seems a lot quicker paced than the combat in Bastion, but it seems to be about the same thing. Like, you're running around and you're slicing and dicing and stuff like that. So kind of a brawler, maybe. Is that a brawler? I don't know. We played Final Fight last night. That's a brawler. There are characters in Final Fight like Andore, who looks exactly like Andre the Giant. But Bald Bull?
Bill
Bull. And my favorite, Bread. Not spelled like the food, but still spelled like the thing you do to animals. Okay. The thing you do to animals. That's a great phrase. That should be the name. That's the title of this podcast. If it wasn't PAX something. The thing you do to animals. Then we went to the voice acting panel because on paper it sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
On paper it included such voice acting artists as Jennifer Hale and Sam Lake. I'm not above it. I went to see Sam Lake. I am playing Control. I got that on day one. Me and Matt unapologetically or apologetically loved Quantum Break somehow. Alan Wake, of course, Max Payne, Remedy, they are the people. Sam Lake was to be there in capacity as an actor from Max Payne. He was Max Payne. But he's done a lot of voice acting in all of their games. I'm sure he has a part in Control, actually, too. I should look that up, who he is. He was not there. We noticed very quickly that he did not appear to be on stage. I saw a girl. Again, I don't know by face all of the voice actors. I saw a girl that I assumed was Jennifer Hale. They very quickly led with, "We're sorry Jennifer couldn't be here. It could not be helped." The girl I thought was her was actually Sissy...
I can't remember her last name.
Jones? We can't remember her last name.
She did some voice work for Walking Dead.
And Sarah... And not that I don't remember her last name, but I cannot pronounce it. El Male, possibly. We exchanged emails at one point, long story. But they, terribly knowledgeable. And the whole premise of the panel was that people were going to get up and have a read, and they were going to critique that. And they did a fantastic job of that. Beautiful notes. Like, it's obvious they're consummate professionals that know their craft and are super good at it.
Absolutely.
Had plenty of good notes. And the panel, though, quickly devolved into, number one, I was surprised how many people got up.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that it was like a lot of the people who got up weren't people who were looking to like break into voice acting video games. It was just like people at PAX. I'm going to read my favorite Portal line.
Some of them, yes. Some of them did want notes. Some of them very nervous, and that was cool because that's where we got the best notes. Pretty soon it devolved into there was no giving of notes, and it devolved further into, hey, look at me.
Yes.
Very talented people, don't get me wrong, but literally half the panel got up, and there was a lot of people there and went to wait in line, and some people went up, and the worst dude was the dude that was like, he was so self-satisfied after he gave the line that even if there were notes, you get the feeling he would have been like, in any event, very impressive, that guy. Then I went back. It was time for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you did not partake.
Yeah, because we went back to the booth, and so like we got the tickets originally thinking it's like, oh, okay, you come back at 4:00, and then you just like kind of walk in at the game. Right?
The system isn't perfect.
Yes,
I think it's still better than the wait in line for 3 hours thing.
For
but,
sure,
yeah.
for sure. I'd actually be interested in hearing what the actual experience was because we haven't really talked about that yet. But like, I was kind of like, I've never played a Final Fantasy game. I probably won't play Final Fantasy VII when it comes out. And it's like, I had other stuff I kind of wanted to do anyway, so I kind of ditched you at that point.
You did. And because the system as it works, it turns out, is you cannot come to get into line until the stated time on the ticket. So, of course, half the people with the tickets showed up at 3:45. And the guy's like, you can't line up here. So you go across the walkway. And the PAX guys are like, you can't line up here. So what it turned into was me, and I'm sure I recognized 5 or 6 other guys doing this really cool lap. Yeah. There's a pretty wide walkway where it's at, too.
Stay completely
because they know it. And the guy, both sides know it, too. Like, they're not going to be like, I'm sorry, you can't walk laps here. Like, that's fine. So, yeah, we're just sitting there. Walking laps until...
Get your steps in.
Yep. Which is a ridiculous statement at PAX because I'm way over my steps as is. Just kidding. I left my watch at home. But 4:00 hit. We did get in line. And it did go pretty smoothly. I want to say we did get in within 15 minutes. And there was a cool video. And it's still hilarious because... like, the jokes are flying, and he's got, like, lanyards, and he's like, Final Fantasy trivia time, and I'm like I so badly wanted to leverage the fact that I know next to nothing about it. Like, I thought Cloud was in the game, but I also really get Cloud confused with, I think, Lightning? Is that the other Final Fantasy? Okay, wow.
So I think I know less about Final Fantasy.
We would have made a great pair. But I did not get a chance to leverage any of that embarrassment. They gave away some lanyards to people who knew things, and we got into the demo. We played the demo. I know that Final Fantasy VII is beloved. I also know that the gameplay has changed. I don't know how it has changed. I believe Final Fantasy VII was a straight up turn-based strategy game, right? Like, well, okay, I like how I'm blowing your mind on this. You're the perfect companion to have about this. I can act like I know tons about this freaking game. This is fantastic. So Final Fantasy VII, you may not know. It's a turn-based strategy game, yeah. But the remake is not. Like, it's an active battle game. There are turn-based-ish mechanics to it. Like, I recognize the menu-ish. And what it is you go in and you hit your mash button, which is, I don't know, we're using a PlayStation controller here, and I don't know that it's shapes. It's not like XB, and they're not letters, so I'm completely lost. Yeah. You hit one of the shapes, you hit like triangle to open up a chest, I can tell you that, which I did, and I got some Phoenix down, which you can be used to resurrect yourself, as you might imagine. It's Final Fantasy VII, never mind, you wouldn't understand.
Woo! Right over the head.
you mash, but that attack isn't meant to really take them down. Like, it takes down a little bit, but you're building a meter. And once you build, it's got 2 halves to the meter. This probably changes over time. I don't know. And if you build up a half, then you can use those for special attacks. And that's when you hit X, time slows. I'm amazed that I remember this much of the gameplay, actually. Time slows, and then you're able to go in and kind of pick your special attacks, nice. Which I feel like are the things that I always know. Like, I feel like that's one of the things of that and games like it is that you choose these special, gorgeous, like super attacks, right? That's part of the fun is getting to see those animations and execute on them. So you can go into those, and then as you do that, you're building a limit meter. And when that hits, then you do a super duper duper attack. And I don't know if there's any bigger attacks than that. What I do know is that I got into that loop. I'm building up meter. Oh, and you're 2 characters. So you're Cloud and Gunman. Forget his name. It's actually, I feel like his name might be close to Gunman. Gunman.
Larry Gunman.
Gundam? No, that's a different thing. That's another game I know nothing about. You switch back and forth between characters. You're looking what meter's going up which. You want to switch to the guy that has the meter and then use those attacks. I'm attacking this big scorpion that's trying to prevent me from planting a bomb. And I get into the loop, man. I'm going. I'm doing my slow motion attacks. I'm doing this back and forth. I look around. Every single person from that instance of the demo, and how many were of us were there at a time? 20, maybe? So there's probably 20 stations. There's probably more, actually. 5, 10, 15, 20... 25, 30 stations. Everybody is gone. They finished the demo long enough to walk out of the room. And I'm still sitting there like, oh, they're still letting me go. So I don't know if I was holding things up or what, but I had a lot of fun.
Cool.
And that thing, I love the score. I don't know how much of it follows. Like, they showed a trailer that might have been a cutscene, but they're on a train. And the score is so hard to explain. I don't know why it hits so hard and why it fits so well, but it just, I have to watch it again to be more specific, I guess. But that combined with the gameplay, combined with the cinematics, like, I don't know if they're drawing this from what Final Fantasy VII was. I feel like not. Like, I mean, obviously they are, but that's been something that other games have picked up. Like, that's why Final Fantasy VII is so seminal, right? Like, I've been playing this in games for my whole life before because I didn't play games as hardcore. That might have been in my in-between moment when Final Fantasy VII was going on. I never had a PlayStation. I had an N64. Anyways. So, yeah, I might, and I know it's coming out episodically. Like, it's not the full remake. They're doing 3 or 4 episodes of this thing. So it might be a bite-sized chunk anyway. Like,
that's kind of nice.
I'm kind of into that, man. Like, and if they can keep that up, and I can kind of get like, I could be really into that. Final Fantasy VII, who knew? A lot of people. Then we went to the Jackbox 6 panel for a little bit, and it was Chris Straub, Kate Stark, Jerry Holkins. No, Jerry. I
think it's Holkins. The Penny Arcade guy.
Penny Arcade. Jerry, yeah. Again, something else.
Because we're at PAX.
Gabe and Tycho, we love you. Thank you. I'm missing people on the panel. Oh, Mike Drucker? No. Gary Whitta.
Yeah, and the what was her name?
Kate Stark.
Thank you.
I already said Kate Stark.
No, you didn't.
Fair enough.
Rewind the tape.
Nope. And they played Jackbox 6. They played a game that was fairly brilliant because it was about really being a stand-up comedian, which if you think about it, that's what everybody's trying to do when they play a Jackbox game anyways. That's why we go to panels like this, is because people just play this game and they're like, how can we make it funny? It's literally a game about doing a setup and then getting a punchline and then messing with those and then trying to one-up each other. Yeah. So it's brilliant. Like, it's a perfect game to do in that setting, but also for Jackbox. And it worked.
Yeah. It did feel it felt very reminiscent of TKO. Like
man! Like, I don't know if anything's ever going to match TKO.
No,
but I was crying at the TKO panel.
Yeah, I remember that.
If anybody hasn't done Jackbox 4, did we decide that was?
I thought we decided it was earlier. It was 3.
But then I saw it on my thing, and it was like,
I don't know.
It's called TKO.
Yeah, but no,
T-shirt knockout.
Yeah, the stand-up comedian thing was good.
Worth the entire pack. But yes, it's also stand-up comedian, very strong. I had to leave because I wanted to go attend the 404ing It panel, the one that Pat Bear puts on. I had Khalif this year, friend of the show, Spawn on Me, up on the panel, so I didn't want to miss that. Also, Abby Russell from Giant Bomb and Alexandra from I Forget I'm Sorry. They were all very funny, and that panel is always enjoyable because it's also very positive.
Yeah.
Like, they're not there. It's not doing the whole like Tosh.0 thing or something where they show clips and make fun of people. It's just all positivity, and they never fail to bring something that I take home to my wife and kids, and are like, you gotta freaking see this thing. I know one year it was Marble Olympics, which you ever gotten in those?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Marble Olympics. Yeah. Check it out. This year, the takeaway did actually come from Khalif as well. Pointer.com, I think it was. Did you get there in time for that? Oh my gosh. Pointer. I hit my head on the lamp for all you audio listeners. You missed the prep. Pointer.com. Check it out.
Pointer.com.
PSA. I'm not even going to explain it. It's because it's not a difficulty curve, but there's an aha moment that's complete brilliance that you can't recreate in a laboratory. Cool. And then I'm missing something. We did one more thing.
We did the
one more panel.
Tournament thing.
Yes, the inter-website game tournament put on by Game Over Greg Miller from Kinda Funny, and had participants again, Khalif, which is funny because I went up and saw Khalif after the 404 in the panel. I was like, hey, what's up? How's the show? He's like, it's good. It's great. It's great to see you. Gave me a hug. He's like, I got to go. I'm like, okay, cool. No worries. So he left. I went to the new panel. And then like 5 minutes later, he walks up and he sees me and he's like, I'm like, you just gone together. But he got up there and he went to do some stuff. They had some people from a bunch of sites. I couldn't even name them all. But they played Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Olympics, I think. I guess. Is that game out? Probably out already.
Sure.
Kind of interested in that thing after watching that.
I can see that being really fun.
I never know enough people to get together to do something like that, but I could make a point of it. That looked fun.
I've definitely played similar games to that, like back on the Wii.
Right. Yeah.
Good family fun. Right?
Oh yeah. And on the Switch, you haven't got a Switch yet.
No, I don't have a Switch.
You can get a Switch sometime. It's pretty good. That was a good panel. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
Who won? I didn't know who he was. He was from Dual Shockers.
Yeah, it was the Kingdom Hearts guy. They kept calling him.
Oh, he did enjoy Kingdom Hearts, I believe. You're right. I'm sorry. There's a safe in the room that I keep looking at that's named Asa Abloy. I can't take my eyes off of. So, Asa Abloy to you. It's been a great 2 days here at PAX so far. Come back tomorrow. We're doing this again. I guess it doesn't matter because this is not live. We toyed with streaming. I have technically the setup, even though it would be a little constrained with the iPhone over here. We'll probably not stream any of those things, but we will put them up in a timely fashion. The next show you will see, regardless, is going to have a lot to do with the Indie Mega Booth. We did get to walk through that. The reason I didn't talk about any of that is because I want to go back and I want to play some of the games that I noted. Backbone, Wave Break, Superliminal, A Fold Apart, and Twin Sanity I want to get in on all of those. So we might just do a whole Mega Booth show, but I'm sure we'll have other stuff to talk about. Here at PAX, here at 0 Hit Points, thank you, Adam, as always. Anything you'd like to add? Anything you want the people at home to know?
Bye.
Bye.